Hey everyone, welcome to Till Time with Hope. I am the host, Hope Aguilar, and today, unfortunately, we do not have a guest. And when I say we, I mean you and me, and you and you and you and you and you and you, as I hope there are a lot of people that are going to listen to this podcast more and more as time goes by. Now, real quick, I did want to tell you why there's no guest. I had planned to have the wonderful Kimberly Emory on my on this show, and we actually recorded on Sunday. However, there were technical problems with the recording, and I'm learning as I go, and I'll tell you why I'm learning as I go. It's not just because this is a new podcast, but it's because I have been around the podcast field, if you will, for the last 4 years or so in other ways, and I've been working with Spotify. And Spotify had like a one shop stop. You could do everything. You could record, you can edit, all of that stuff with Spotify. I could ask somebody to join me in interviewing them via the smartphone and their smartphone with no problems whatsoever. However, this month, Spotify teamed up with Riverside.fm, and Riverside is new to me, and I'm not really necessarily happy with it, with the quality of the audio. And that's pretty much what happened with Kim and I. We were recording, and there was some echoing going on, and I learned, which I know, everything is a learning curve. I learned from looking at some tutorials on Riverside that it's the best quality is for both people, or all people even, to have earbuds on, wireless earbuds, even those wire connected to your smartphone or to your laptop headset on. And why? Because it just makes for better quality of sound. And I don't believe, Kim didn't have her headphone sets on. The good thing about Riverside is you can edit in a way that I wasn't able to with Spotify. So, for example, if you don't hear any mistakes, it's probably because I was able to go in and take out to delete certain areas. For example, where I say too much, because I can say too much. I can say certain words more than I'd like to say them. And so I think that's pretty cool about Riverside is that you can go in and you can delete those areas where it still doesn't sound too choppy. And it's the same thing with people on YouTube and other areas where they do their podcasts, where they can cut out areas that just didn't fit in splice and things of that nature. And so I'm going to be learning how to do that here on this podcast. So I'm not happy though, right? So far I'm not happy with Riverside. When it's just me in the studio by myself, it's pretty great. When it was my sister, my lovely sister, who interviewed me for the first episode, we did really good. It was a really fun time, and there were really no problems whatsoever with the noise. However, when I'm recording, or when I recorded with Kim, I ran into some problems. And that's why I had made the decision not to upload it for episode number 2. I actually gave my brother the link to listen to it to get his feedback. And he said it was nice, but there were areas where it just sounded like there were things missing. And that's because I had to go in and delete certain things. And the deleting was due to the fact that it sounded like Kimberly was talking over me and I was talking over Kimberly, but it wasn't on purpose. It was like this overlapping going on. In addition, it was as if she was answering the question before I ever got the question completely out, and vice versa. And it was as if, like, let's say I'm laughing when she's talking at the same time, like it wasn't syncing properly. And I do not know why it did that. And I'm wondering if it was because she didn't have headphone set on or earbuds on, and if it would have been better if she would have been on her smartphone versus her laptop. I still don't know what the actual problem is, but what I'm going to do is I've already gone and tested with my friend in England. I did a 15-minute recording with her earlier, and I'm hoping to play that back and see if it's better. And then my wonderful sister that interviewed me last for the first episode, she's willing to do a little mock interview again, just for test purposes. So I'm going to figure it out, y'all. I am going to figure it out. And I wanted to come on here and I wanted to say all of that to let you know that that's why I don't have a guest for today. But hopefully I'll be able to record with Kimberly in the near future because she was amazing to have on. And there were so many things that I learned about her in the organization that she's a part of there in Georgia, as well as her advocacy. And I think I can say it now because the cat's out of the bag, if you will. She's going to publish a book here soon, and it's not about her journey through ovarian cancer, because that's also something I wanted to talk about. We are not defined by our experiences with ovarian cancer. That's a big part of our life, but it isn't what defines us. There's so many things about us outside of that. For example, I wrote my book, Hope Through Cancer, and yes, you can still get it at hopeaguilar.com. Just had to put that little plug in there, you know what I'm saying? And if you haven't gotten a copy, please go and get your copy at that website. And I'll continue to put the details in, the information in the details about in each episode. But that's just one part of me. And it's a huge part of me. Don't get me wrong. It is a life mission of mine. As I said when I was interviewed by my sister, it's a life mission of mine to advocate for ovarian cancer awareness, to share my story of going through ovarian cancer, because in sharing, you actually can have the opportunity and the chance to save lives when you do, because women who learn more from my story, from Kim's story, from the stories that are going to come out in this podcast, they can be more aware of what to look out for, what to listen for, and what are the good things that are going on in the world of ovarian cancer awareness, and how can people be a part of that? How can they help? That was what was spoken in the interview with Kim, and that's why I'm really basically frustrated and unhappy, and somewhat angry, because it was a great interview and Kim just shared so much, and yet I can't post it because there was just too much to edit and cut and splice, that it wouldn't have sounded basically authentic and organic the way, and that's the way it should, in my opinion. So going back to, there is more to us than just that. I'm working on a book about my life, my time in Saudi Arabia. I'm working on a little ebook about what it's been like driving for Uber and Lyft. I really want to do something about that because that's been an interesting experience, to say the least. I want to write a sequel to Hope Through Cancer, to let my readers know, to let people know what it's been like, because I didn't go through it just one time. Yet I'm still here in this almost 13-year journey. I want to talk about things, other things that have been going on with my health through the last 20 plus years. So it's important for people to understand that, yes, this advocacy is a big part of our lives, but it isn't just about who we are. That's not all we're about. There are other amazing things that are a part of my life, Kim's life, and everyone else that's been on this journey with ovarian cancer, whether they are those who have survived it, whether they are the ones going through it, whether they are the ones who are doing things in memory of their loved ones who have passed away. And that's true about all of us. There's not just one thing that defines us. And I will never be the victim. Yes, cancer is horrible. Yes, it's insidious. Yes, chemotherapy causes a lot of issues with our body. And Kimberly used the word ramification. I always like to say the repercussions or the aftermath of chemo. And I think that's also important to say, is like, it is horrible, and it was horrible. And there are all these things that happen to us after chemotherapy and cancer, physically and psychologically, mind you. And that's important too, to talk about the psychology of what happens to people that go through such a horrible disease such as cancer. I do believe there is PTSD with going through something as horrible as this disease. And I think there are some studies out there about it. How can you not? How can you not walk away unscathed when you've gone through something like cancer, psychologically, not just physically? And I hope to have somebody on here on my podcast that can talk more in depth about that. But going back to what I was saying, we are not defined by this. Yes, it was horrible. Yes, we'll never be the same. It's a new normal. But at the same time, we still move forward. We still have our lives. And there are so many things outside of cancer that we are about. And I'm so excited for Kimberly to have her book coming out that's not, I'm sure she's going to talk about what she went through with ovarian cancer. There's probably going to be a little stuff about it. But from what she told me, it's also other things out there. And I'll probably put the details in my details. I'll put the information about pre-ordering her book if anybody's interested. And that's my way of sharing, because hashtag sharing is caring. And we're all trying to just, I think it's great to just help people in every way we can out there with the good things that are going on in their lives. And I'm so excited for Kimberly. But moving on to something that I also wanted to talk about today, and that was when I was at the park doing my little fast walk. And the reason I do a fast walk is because my knees aren't great. I was in the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Army, and in between those, I was in the U.S. Texas Army National Guard. I didn't have to say U.S., but I did anyway. So the Texas Army National Guard. And yes, I guess you would say I was a glutton for punishment. But seriously, I loved my time in the military. I loved my time in the military, and I'm so grateful to have served. I'm so grateful because I met so many amazing people and I had so many amazing experiences. While at the same time, y'all, my knees aren't great. My neck's not great. My back's not great. My right shoulder's not great. And there are a lot of things about me that aren't so great. While at the same time, I can say life is still great. Life is still good. And my mind, for the most part, is pretty great, even if it's not, even if all those other parts of my body aren't great. And the knees, they hurt almost every day. It's chronic. It's chronic knee pain, chronic knee problems. Bone on bone joint cartilage damage is nothing fun, let me tell you. So I can't run anymore. It's not to say, please feel sorry for me. It's not to say, oh, poor Hope. Can't she ever get a break? Y'all, please never think that. Never think that about me, because that's not how I roll. That's not what I'm about. I don't care for pity. I don't need pity. I don't need people's sympathy. I just need people's prayers and people's love and people's good vibes and love and light and all of that. I'll take that big time. But I don't share anything for people to feel sorry for me. But I do share just the same. So as I was out at the park walking in my little fast walkway, and if you know me, for those who do know me out there, I've always liked being athletic. I've always liked playing sports. Growing up, I was playing, half court street ball in the neighborhoods that I grew up in. When I got in the military, I played, pickup ball at the gym. I've always liked staying active. And so even though my knees don't let me run anymore, because I used to be really, really big in running, I will still do something to keep myself going, to keep myself in somewhat good shape. And that's what I wanted to say when I was out there fast walking. And I have to say fast walking because it wasn't just there. I'm not out there for a stroll. I'm out there. The athlete in me is out there walking fast, y'all. Moving my hips and moving my arms and just doing my best to get what I feel is a good exercise. And while I was out there, I was thinking about, what can I talk about today, since I'm not going to have my guest, unfortunately. And I was thinking, talk about some of the things that I've gone through. So my sister interviewed me and we talked about some stuff, but you could talk for 10 hours and it still wouldn't be enough to really get a good understanding of my life, really, because there's just been so much. I've had so many chapters. I'm so blessed, y'all. I've had an amazing life thus far with amazing chapters. The chapters in the Navy, the chapters in the Army National Guard, the chapters in the Army, the chapters as a correctional officer, as a jailer, as in security at a hospital. It's amazing. And of course, Saudi Arabia, now with Ubering and stuff. I'm just so overly whelmed with gratefulness, if that makes sense. I can't even express it enough, but something that really is important. And if you pay attention to me, sometimes I might actually get off track. So stick with me. That might be brought to you by ADHD or dyslexia. The dyslexia might pop in from time to time. So again, maybe I'll use my editing skills with taking some of that out if I catch it. But seriously, exercise is something in my bones. I like to do that because it makes me feel good. It's almost therapeutic. It's not just for the physical aspect of it. It's also the mental aspect. There are studies. I mean, my degree is in psychology, but it's not even just about what I studied in school. It's also what I know to be true from reading articles and know what I know to be true from my own the psychology, releasing of dopamines, releasing of endorphins that go with exercising. It really does a body good. It's not just milk that does a body good, y'all. Exercise does your body good. And I'll go back to 2011 when I went to surgery. My doctor, and I hope to have Mrs. Dr. Richardson, my lovely doctor from 2011, on here as a guest one day. And she's quite busy being a professor out in Oklahoma, and all the other things that she's still a part of. But and she's newly married. Again, shout out to Miss Dr. Richardson and you being a newlywed and all that. I'm so excited for you and your husband. All that to say is when I went through surgery, and the surgery I think was almost 7 hours. Dr. Richardson said that I did really good. I think she called me a rock star, to be honest. I think I wrote that in the book. She said my body did really well when I was under. Imagine an almost 7-hour surgery, and the body did well. And I was severely anemic. And I have to say this because it's important to say this because it's very interesting, y'all. I was severely anemic for years. I remember being 17, Keller High School, and they were getting people to donate blood. And I went to donate blood, and they said I couldn't. And the young, kind of foolish, oh my God, I don't like to use the word stupid, but looking back, I think I might have been a little, okay, I was never stupid per se, but my thinking was just funny back then. How about that? Let's just say I was funny thinking back then. I remember being told that I couldn't donate blood. And I was like, what do you mean I can't donate blood? And they wouldn't tell me, like I didn't understand what was wrong. And I had never, mind you, I was never intimate with anybody, but one of my first thoughts was, and I know this is the naive, I don't know if I'd like to say it was ignorant, but I was like, this was 1988, y'all. And I was like, I don't have HIV or AIDS, so why won't you accept my blood? Because way back in the 80s, right, that was the 80s were huge with HIV and AIDS. And I was just like, I can't have AIDS or HIV. That was how I actually thought. And I'm like, well, first of all, I didn't realize that you had to be intimate with, I mean, I knew, but I didn't know. And it's hard to explain. Hope I get large brain a lot of the times, but especially a young 17-year-old hope I get large brain. And so I didn't know what it was. Like I was like, wait, why would you not want my blood? And that, dear listeners, is when I realized, and I found out shortly thereafter, is because of my iron level being low. And that's when I found out rather that I was anemic at the age of 17. So from 17 all the way, and then when I got in the military, the severity of the anemia increased. I don't know what triggered it. I don't know what happened. It's not even something that's genetic that I know of. So when I joined the Navy, there was a lot of anemia there. And then when I got out, there was anemia. I remember being in the Army National Guard, and I tried to give blood. They were like, oh my gosh, you need to go eat like raw red meat, Hope, because your iron level is so low that we need to give you blood. You can't be donating blood. We need to give you blood. That's how severely anemic I was. Now there was one time in 1991, I was in the Naval Training Center in San Diego, and I was able to donate blood. That was the only time that I was ever successfully able to donate blood because I was always so severely anemic. In fact, if you fast forward over from 1991 to 1995, when I was in the Army National Guard, to 1999, I was in Germany. And I was feeling really lightweight. I thought maybe there was something going on with my chest. I had like pressure on my chest. And I was just really weak and pale. And they ran some blood work. And when I got to the doctor, he was like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I'm all right. I mean, he's like, when you walked up the stairs, how did you feel? And I said, well, it was some heavy breathing. And he goes, I wouldn't doubt it. He said, you were severely anemic. I don't know how you wouldn't feel lightheaded and feel like hard to breathe when you walk up the stairs. All that to say that I was severely anemic from 17 to the age of 40 when I got surgery. And something happened when they took out all my reproductive organs, because that almost 7-hour surgery, that's what they did. They had to take everything out. And yet I did not need a blood transfusion. Imagine all my life being severely anemic, lacking blood, y'all. And the day of surgery, they told me that there's a chance that I might lose blood and I might need a blood transfusion. And I had to sign whether or not I would agree to that. And of course, I said, yeah, whatever it takes to keep me alive. But I didn't need it. And furthermore, y'all, after that surgery, to this day, I have had zero problems with anemia. Zero. There has been no iron deficiency whatsoever. So I'm not a doctor or anything like that, of course. That just makes me think that the issue was definitely with my reproductive organs that was going on with that severe anemia. I mean, how else do you explain it? And if there is somebody out there that can explain that to me where it makes sense for my brain, please comment on this episode or send me an email at tealtimewithhope@gmail.com, because to me, it's just surgery removed all my reproductive organs, anemia problem gone. So anyway, I thought that was interesting and I had to share that with you, and it went a little longer than I planned, but you know what? You're welcome. And so as far as the fitness, let's go back to the fitness. I loved the fitness. And I think because I ran. So before I got diagnosed with cancer, I had been in Saudi Arabia and I was living in this little baby compound that all the teachers, and there was just enough space behind our villas where you could run around this little baby compound. And when I say baby compound, it was really, really small, but it was enough for me to run around and around and around and around. And I did that as much as I could. And so everybody was really shocked back in Saudi when they found out I got cancer. Why were they shocked? Because they thought that's what we do. We kind of like say, well, if you're in really great shape, then you'll not get cancer. And I think a lot of people do think like that. People who are in really awesome shape and who work out and who exercise may not get cancer. I wish that was the case because more people maybe would work out, but it's not the case, unfortunately. It's not just about working out. It's also about what? About eating. And I ate horribly, y'all. I ate Burger King like nobody's business because here's something that Saudi had that we didn't have yet. This was 2009. 2009, 2010, 2011. They had like a Uber Eats before there was ever an Uber Eats. When 50% of the population isn't allowed to drive yet, because women didn't start driving until 2018, well, it makes sense that you deliver to that population, right? And so you could get KFC, you can get McDonald's, all the fast food places, and Krispy Kreme donuts. I think you can have ice cream. You could have had ice cream delivered, sushi delivered. It was just right there, just on an app that you can get it delivered. And I did. I took advantage of that because I was LAZY. I was lazy and I didn't like to cook other than my eggs. I make really good scrambled eggs with cheese, little soft scrambled eggs with cheese. I'm just saying I make some good eggs, okay? But outside of that, y'all, I just really got out of the habit of cooking. I didn't do it. And so it just was too easy to order. And so Burger King happened to be my go-to. And they would say, "Oh, yes, madam, because the Filipinos would say madam." So they say, "Madam Hope, Villa number 5." And that was me. And so, yes, it was good that I was exercising, but no, it wasn't good that I was eating horribly. And I cannot say definitively or even partially that my bad habits of eating wise contributed to getting cancer, because there are people who eat very healthy. There are vegans, there are vegetarians who still get cancer. So we cannot say that. But I don't think it helped. But going back to that surgery, I feel strongly that because I kept myself in good shape, that I did exercise, that I did my best to keep myself in good physical fitness, that helped when I was under for almost 7 hours. Can I prove that definitively? No, but I do think that. And that's what I'm trying to get across in a long way to y'all. Please take care of your bodies. Please, regardless of cancer, please take care of your body. Put good in it. I love kale now. I love spinach. I almost hardly ever eat regular lettuce. kale, spinach, mushrooms, tomatoes, whichever way you want to call it, cucumbers, pickles. I love making salads. Salads are my jam. You thought I can make some eggs? I can make some salad. If I ever opened up a restaurant, I think it would be salads. I would say salads and chicken and eggs, but that just don't sound right unless you put hard boiled eggs in that salad because that's good salad too. But seriously, take care of your body, eat well. And I'm not saying that, horrible if you eat a McDonald's burger, if you eat Burger King or Whataburger, as we have here, In-N-Out Burger. I'm not saying never eat those foods. I mean, life is short. Eat those foods. Eat some potato chips. Eat ice cream. But don't get crazy. That's all I'm saying. Don't get crazy. Especially if you know things like cancer and diabetes and high blood pressure and all those things that can hurt your body and then you eat unhealthy that can not help your situation. Because diabetes does run in my family. Cancer does run in my family, even though ovarian cancer does not run in my family, did not run in my family. But high blood pressure runs in the family due to the diabetes. Mostly on the males, I've noticed, but still, diabetes definitely. And I have diabetes now. That's the update. That's why I want to write a sequel to Hope Through Cancer, is because I have early stage diabetes. I have slight high blood pressure that now I have to take medicine for. And as far as the repercussions, ramifications, the aftermath of chemotherapy, well, real quick, I had to have cataract surgery for my left eye because I got an infection during chemo the second time, as well as the third time. My eyes just got hit hard. I have nerve damage, neuropathy, due to the chemotherapy. Not in my feet so much it is in my hands, and I have to take a lot of medication for that. And then there's the psychological. I've talked to a psychiatrist. I had to deal with a lot of things within 5 years from the cancer, from cancer again, from my mother getting COVID and dying, from my stepdad getting a rare cancer, anaplastic thyroid cancer and dying, from one of my uncles dying from repercussions, I believe, that stemmed from diabetes. We even recently lost one of my cousins, primo, which is the word cousin in Spanish, cousin Jesse. We used to call him Cousin Moose. Young, 50, not even 60 years old, and he passed away from, having multiple heart attacks. And so there's been a lot that has happened in my life in such a short time, and it's good to talk to a therapist. It's good to seek help. As the saying goes, it's okay not to be okay. And I think physical fitness definitely can contribute to feeling better. Again, psychologically as well as physically. So please take care of your bodies. Please eat healthier. If you're not eating healthy now, just try it out. Try that salad. Try not eating red meat all the time, which just ultimately isn't good for you. I think I read a study somewhere, y'all, where people who eat red meat every day, they knock off 10 years from their lifespan. Imagine 10 years are gone because of the red meat. Well, what's going on with that red meat, right? Red meat's not good for us all the time because it clogs those arteries up. We have family members who have diabetes that turn into a heart attack, and it can start to affect your kidneys. But if you start early, if you start right now with eating healthier, getting out there, walking, running, swimming, biking, yoga, do something instead of doing nothing. I think that's going to definitely, I know it's going to help you, regardless of cancer. But for me as a cancer survivor, and to those that are out there that are cancer survivors as well, please, I will continue to take care of my body. Please take care of your body. And I wanted to share that with y'all because I think it's important. Because again, there is so much about me that isn't just solely about cancer, but it will always be my mission to spread that awareness. I can't, and if I can add some talk about fitness and healthy eating, I will. And maybe I'll even bring in a nutritionist or someone like that can come in that works with specifically those who have battled cancer, those who have gone through cancer, and what they try to incorporate, right? Because what they do, which I love about UT Southwest, is they try to incorporate a holistic approach to how they help those that are going through cancer. It's not just about the treatment, it's also what's going on outside of that treatment, right? Are you exercising? Are you eating all right? How's your eating? And I'll tell you, I loved my doctor. both Dr. Richardson and Dr. Lococo. But one of the things Dr. Lococo told me was, eat whatever you want. And I think he meant it in a good way because most of us lose weight when we're going through cancer treatment. And he said, just eat whatever you want. And I do love that. I mean, I didn't want to go back to when I was at 2011, 2012, rather. People, if you remember, my friends that are out there, I lost a lot of weight. I am 5'11", y'all, and I weigh typically 165. Sometimes I can go up to 170. 165 is kind of like my normal weight for my height, which, with working out and everything, they say that's a good place to be. I went down to 138. I had not weighed less than 140 since I was 18. And there I was at the age of 41, and I went down to 138. I did not look healthy. I did not look good. And that's one of the reasons that I would go out there and I would walk if I could after chemo. If I felt like strong enough, I would go and walk outside and I would walk and to get myself feeling better, mind and body. And so please, I know I may have gone all over the board. I've tried to keep myself focused, but sometimes I can go off on tangents, and I hope you understand that as you're listening. And I do try to impart like some humor, and that's just who I am. That's part of my personality, and laughter, #laughter is medicine. I do believe that. And I think it's important to laugh as well. Exercise, eating healthy, and making sure to laugh as much as you can every day. There's always something that you can find to laugh at. And if you can't, I can give you some good movies and shows to watch that can make you laugh. Reach out to me anytime. I mean that wholeheartedly, because laughter does make a difference, in my opinion. It helps with the neurons or whatever going on in my brain, y'all, and that part of my brain that's humorous. And I am humorous. I try to be humorous anyway, because I love laughing and I love making people laugh. So hopefully I'll always have a little bit of laughter in every episode, if it's just me or even with guests. And so thank you for the time that you're giving to listen to this episode and coming back for more. I'm not going to talk much longer because I don't have a guest, so it's no need to talk for over an hour. That said, if the episodes go over 30 minutes to an hour, stay with us, because everything that my guests are going to be sharing with the audience is worth sticking with it until the end. There's always going to be somebody that's going to come on my podcast that's going to have a story to share, and it's worth listening to. Each story is worth listening to, in my opinion, and I believe that's why having a podcast is so important. It's a platform to hear people's voices. It's not about celebrities. It's not about people out there that already have big platforms and stuff where they can be heard. I'm an everyday person, by no means normal, but I'm an everyday person getting the word out with my story, things that I've gone through, and the stories of others that will be on this podcast, and what the amazing things that they're doing, whether they work in the medical field, whether they have organizations themselves, and how others can help by learning more and by also contributing if they're in the areas where my guest will be from. Because I think I have somebody coming in from New York, not coming here, but she's going to be joined with me on an interview from New York. I have another woman, lovely young woman from Wisconsin. I think I have a guest that's going to be in from Maine, maybe, or Connecticut, doing amazing things there. I have my wonderful nurse that's been with me since 2011. She's here in Dallas. Dr. Richardson's out in Oklahoma. So I want that to be part of what this podcast is going to be about, right? People from all around, people from everywhere. And if I can get people from outside of America, that would be even more wonderful, because cancer doesn't discriminate, like I've said before. It doesn't discriminate on nationality. It doesn't discriminate on religion. It doesn't discriminate on race. It just doesn't discriminate. And there are people outside of America that are going through ovarian cancer and that are doing good things in their country. And I'd like to have them on as a guest as well. Until next time, and hopefully I can get Miss Kimberly on in another date. I will post another episode on Tuesday, and if I can, make sure that I understand Riverside without it trying to drive me insane, y'all. If I have to figure out how to get on another podcast for Till Time with Hope, I will, if I can't figure out this Riverside. But make no mistake, I'm here and I'm here to stay. And the last thing I want to say is take care of yourself. It's hot out there. Drink water, stay hydrated, take care of yourselves. As always, be kind, share kindness, be kindness, all of that good jazz with optimism and positivity out there. Be well. God bless. This has been Teal Time with Hope. I am Hope, and I'll see you soon. Bye.